Hi, everybody. I'm Gloria Moraga. This is the Political Woman podcast. It is Saturday, December 21st. Hi. Everybody got their gifts wrapped? I don't. I've got boxes everywhere and I have to hide stuff when the kids come over. Wanted to give you an update on what was in, what was out of the continuing resolution, the budget funding bill that takes us through mid-March. So if you watch my video, my short, Senate passed the Part C, the third attempt from the House version of the continuing resolution. So to recap, there was the first one that had taken months to work out and to compromise on. It was compromised from the four corners, the different members from different parties and both houses. So it was negotiated, took a long time. But the white-bellied billionaire who thinks he's the president, for some reason, cuckoo, didn't like it. Basically killed it, and then Trump weighed in way later. Maybe he was napping, and also killed it. And insisted that Republicans put in a increase, I think elimination. They wanted to eliminate the debt ceiling, which keeps lawmakers from just spending our money. It's our money. So that was version B. That didn't fly. Did you see Chip Roy's soundbite? Best soundbite of the week. Take a listen.
Has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous. It also turns off PAYGO. It turns off the $1.7 trillion in automatic cuts under PAYGO. Because this side of the aisle is profoundly unserious about actually reducing deficits, just as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are profoundly unserious about reducing deficits. The entire body has been racking up debt for my entire life. $36 trillion, $1 trillion of interest. We rack up $1 trillion every 100 days. Now, what are we going to do about it? We're going to run around and talk about cutting taxes, but not doing what's necessary to cut the spending along with the cut taxes. My other side of the aisle, my colleagues will say, oh no, we got to increase taxes, but we'll do anything to cut spending. And so here we sit in the same mess. And I got to be honest, I want to remind people, this is Article 1. I yield back.
Okay, so it finally made it, went to the Senate. Senate passed it overwhelmingly. No fanfare, no drama. Not like the House. That's why they call it the lower house, because it's, food fight. And then Biden signed it today, Saturday. So I wanted to go through what's in, what's out. The spending bill does provide $100 billion, $100 billion with a B, to help Americans trying to recover from multiple natural disasters that occurred in 2023, 2024. Funding is in line with what Biden had requested. $29 billion will help replenish the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Disaster Relief Fund. That was used when they were spreading lies about how people weren't getting help because FEMA was mismanaged. FEMA wasn't. FEMA was using their disaster relief fund to help in the short term. But clearly, these extra funds are needed to help people from hurricanes and others. Now, the bill was continuing resolution bill, heavily lobbied by the Farm Bureau and other farmers groups because they wanted this $10 billion in economic aid for farmers. So I'm pulling this information from various news sites, but also I have the bill. And here's an example of the Farm Bureau request. So we go to Title 1, this is on page 11. Disaster Relief Supplemental Appropriations. And then Title 1 is Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Programs. Okay, so look at this, my friends. They're providing an additional amount for the Agriculture Secretary, and the amount is $30.78 billion to remain available until expended for necessary expenses relating to losses of revenue, quality of production of crops, including milk, non-farm stored commodities. What the hell is that? Crops prevented from planting and harvested adulterated wine grapes. Trees, bushes, vines, as a consequence of droughts, wildfires, hurricanes, floods, derechos, whatever the hell that is, excessive heat, tornadoes. I'm going to look it up. Winter storms, freeze, including a polar vortex, smoke exposure, and excessive moisture occurring in calendar years 2023 and 2024. Yada, yada, yada. Now, the Farm Bureau was happy and thanked lawmakers, but then they released this statement saying, yes, thank you very much, but we need that long-term farm bill. So the Farm Bill was renewed for another year in this continuing resolution, but they want the 5-year renewal of the Farm Bill. Because farmers are in trouble, my friends. They are in trouble. So that covers some disaster, but another disaster was the Maryland Bridge funding. That made it in. The Francis Scott Key Bridge was destroyed when a cargo ship crashed into the bridge. And they're trying to repair it right now. Rebuilding the bridge is going to cost between $1.7 billion and $1.9 billion. And this money that is in the budget, the continuing resolution, is going to help the Maryland Transportation Authority work on that bridge. The CR also includes a 3-month extension of a pandemic-era measure that expands the use of TechnoHealth in Medicare. So here's what that does. More senior citizens and Americans with disabilities have been able to get care via telehealth since COVID. And this is where old folks and others sit at home and get help via technology, via Zoom or whatever. So that's been continued, which I think is good because it saves people from having to drag their sick butts down to the hospital. But this needs to be part of spending in general because this is the future. I mean, I know you need to see a doctor, but sometimes you don't. All right. This is some of the stuff that's no longer in the bill. The debt ceiling extension. The debt ceiling was supposed to be worked out sometime next year. I think it was in June is when it's scheduled. They're scheduled to work on it. But of course, the sneaky billionaires who don't really know how to manage their money. I mean, because when you're a billionaire, really, how much do you need to manage? Just spend here, spend there, like whatever. But no, they wanted this debt ceiling lifted now. Trump wanted to be able to blame Biden, but they want to hit the ground running and give those tax cuts to the wealthy right away. Note that Trump has said in an interview with Time magazine that he doesn't know about the grocery prices and stuff because even though he was going to bring them down on day one, it's really hard to bring them down after they go up. The nation's debt currently stands at $36.2 trillion with a T. Trillion dollars. And now I know someone on my feeds, I think on YouTube, said they just, every time this comes up, they just lift it and lift it and lift it. And it's like, I know. I know. I know. I've covered budgets all my career. And it's a crime. It's a crime. They shouldn't be doing this. So there's so much more I could just do on just the debt ceiling, and I'll have to do just a whole podcast on that later. Because I'm going on to what else was cut. Ugh. The reform for pharmacy benefits, that was cut. Now, this was a way to help us all with the high cost of pharmaceuticals. That's gone. Cut.
Healthcare protections, consumer protections, environmental protections, safety protections. These are the types of things that have been taken out of this bill because some billionaire, richest man on earth, decided that he didn't want those things. This has now become a bill that has taken out anything that is important, essentially, for consumer or health protection or for relief to lower costs for the American people. And thank you. I yield back.
How that helps Elon Musk, I don't know. But they apparently don't want anything that helps the average common folk. You know, that's included. Remember the whole insulin thing that Biden and Harris were so proud of, and rightly so? This would help all of us. All right, here's a good one. The pay raises for lawmakers. And Jasmine Crockett was on one of the shows that I watch, and she went on and on about this. Lawmakers have gone without a pay raise for many budget cycles. Not that I think they deserve one. I'm not saying that. I think they should have a pay cut because they don't, especially under Johnson. They're hardly working. The amount of hours that they are in the Capitol actually working on legislation and working on bills has way down. They're taking breaks left and right. It was election year. They kept taking breaks all summer. Then after that, they took another long break. And now look, at the end of the year, they're trying to jam through stuff. It's BS. Both Republican and Democratic leaders had agreed to include in the language that would have allowed members to receive an automatic cost of living adjustment to their base salary of $174,000 a year. They're overpaid. This was going to change the practice of the cost of living adjustment, and it was going to do other things, and it was going to take away some of their per diem. And I mean, I won't go into it all because you don't care, and it's out of the bill now. But that was cut. And I think in the long run, what was in the bill was better, but the billionaire didn't like it. The billionaire who gets billions of federal dollars for his electric car that stalls on the freeway and causes major backups. Here's another one. Restricting investments in China. Restricting investments in China. Stripped from the bill. That means the white belly billionaire gets what he wants, because this was going to restrict investments. He invests heavily in China. Explain that to me, MAGAs. Explain it. How this is good for our country. We want to restrict investments so we can get people to invest here. Invest in America. Make America great again, or first, or whatever. This is exactly the opposite of that. You know, this is just dirty. This is dirty stuff. Democrats slammed the removal of the measure, arguing that its absence would benefit Elon Musk, this is a quote from the New York Times, who helped derail the bipartisan package. So he derailed something that would have hurt him. Quote, Musk's investments in China and ties to its government have only grown over the last few years, alongside the growing involvement in American politics. Because he just needs more money. Richest man in the world. He just needs more money. So let's just screw us over. This is a quote from Representative Rosa DeLauro, who was manager of the bill, who was just great. ranking member of the House Appropriations Committee, wrote in a letter to congressional leaders. It is no surprise then that, quote, President Musk does not want to see a funding deal containing this provision be signed into law, she wrote. The measure would have prevented wealthy investors from continuing to offshore production and U.S. intellectual property into China, she wrote. That's got cut. So he got his way. And if that's all he wanted to do, he got it. Where are you, MAGAs? Where are you, people who voted for him to make America great again? This doesn't help make America great. Oh, well, we like him. Why? Also cut criminalizing revenge porn. It was the Take It Down Act. Lawmakers and tech companies have been feeling pressure to do more to combat revenge porn. Artificial intelligence has made it easier. It's gone. So, revenge porn can continue. All right, and I'm going to end with, you guys, the pediatric cancer research pulled from the bill. I could go on and on about the little girl this was named for who had a brain tumor. And I could just, why is this acceptable? Why? Why does the farmers, I love farmers, so I'm not against farmers. But why is this what he wants to cut? And you know what else? They don't know what they're doing, okay? Somebody said, oh, Vivek Ramaswamy read the bill. No, they didn't. They maybe had staff who read the bill and gave them talking points, but they did not read the bill. Nobody reads these bills. I read the bills, and they're not easy to read either because of the way they're written. They're not written for like Stephen King novels. They don't read the bills. You could tell that Musk didn't know what he was talking about. Just I only read like half of the tweets that were posted somewhere. I think Politico. And it's clear that he doesn't read them. But so let's just hurt children with cancer and parents out there who need this help. I want to say on part of this, one part of the cancer research was saved by the Senate. The Senate pulled it out and unanimously passed it. Every person in the Senate voted for it. And I can have more on that later rather than get into the weeds because I'm running long. There's another provision after the research for children's cancer about people who get their low-income Americans who have their food stamp benefits stolen through skimming devices. That was pulled from the bill. Because when people are starving or really hungry, why help them? When you're a billionaire and you can, pull up, put on the feed bag at Mar-a-Lardo, why worry about people who are poor and need their food stamps and they've been scammed? So, I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. Wanted to go through some of this for you. I've got the bill, and I will use some screenshots. Ton of sound bites. I don't know how much I'm going to pull. I think I'm going to the movies. It's Christmas. A lovely time of the year. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Please be safe in this holiday season. Please be very safe. And subscribe. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. Angrier than ever. And please be safe.